Hello, you beautiful people. This is a Nemesis battle report between the Crimson Court making use of the Tooth and Claw rival deck and the Storm of Celestus making use of the Paths of Prophecy rival deck. Let's just head straight in. I have the innate crit for the roll-off here, and I win first activation and takes the first activation, and I start with moving Melissan onto objective number 5. Quite a cautious start for this quite defensive warband, generally speaking. Velas von Fane does exactly the opposite and charges into melee with said Melissan. And then I use the warning cry reaction from Sleek when there is an enemy fighter's declared attack action step within 2 hexes of him, which allows him then to give guard tokens to each friendly fighter within 1 hex, and that includes Sleek himself. So Melissan, Celestus and Sleek gets a guard token before this attack, which sees no successes in the attack roll, sadly. So we have an overextended Velas here. Sleek, though, does not care about Velas. He leisurely strolls onto the objective in my second activation here. And then in Matthias's second activation, Gorath takes a, should we say, free swipe and gets a crit and hit, and I can't defend that. Sleek is on 1 dodge. He's down to 1 life, so vulnerable, but I do score bold claim for holding 2 or more of the following objectives, 1, 3 and 5, and I hold 5 in No Man's Land and 3 in my territory there. Then I place Slinking in there to push a Chosen Fighter 1 or 2 if it would end me up on an objective, so I push Aphos onto the objective. Then I play Succor Uncertainty, which normally allows a fighter to be healed for 1, but if I am holding 3 when it's played, I can heal 2 instead. So Sleek is back to full health, and then in my third activation I shoot with the Draken onto Velas, having single assists there, in hope of inspiring him as well. So I get 2 successes, and Matthias only rolls 1 success, so that's 2 damage and an inspired leader going to 2 shields. But that also scores Matthias' spirited attempt for me injuring one of his fighter but not killing them. And then he is quite cautious and plays one of the better cards from the Crimson Court deck, that is Quicksilver Advance to move Velas back, and then he plays Ripping Claws, which brings extra ping damage to Enya's successful attack actions. And then he charges with Enya's in his third activation and rolls a Fury and a single support, so that's 2 hits. So I need a crit here, but I don't get it, so that will bring Sleek straight out of action, since it's 2 plus 1 damage there. And that also scores him Courtly Hunt for the first fighter to be taken out of action in a round to be an enemy fighter. So 3-2 to the Crimson Court as it stands. Then he plays Blood Vial onto Velas to heal her for 1 and remove her hunger. So that will mean that she inspires at the end of the round. And then for my fourth activation I simply draw a power card, and in Matthias's last activation he moves Prince Dval up into no one's territory. Then in the last power step I play Etheric Channeling to give me +1 dice, cleave or ensnare in the next activation. So if I do get the first activation in the next round, it will spill over into that round. Then I also play Stoic Fortitude, which is bound to Celestus and gives him an extra wound. And Matthias plays Enforcer's Cloak on Gorath, which means that he can do a reaction after he's attacked to place Gorath next to the attacker. Quite an interesting card there. And then after the power step I score Devoted Offerings for playing 3 ploys in the same round. And then at the end of the round, Velas inspires. And I score here with Stan for holding 2 objectives in the end phase. And I play Unhallowed Aura on Celestus, so he counts as holding objective number 6, but I can also react to my activation to destroy it, basically. And recovered poise is scored by Crimson Court in the end phase for having at least 1 inspired fighter. I do win the second roll-off as well in the second round here, and I start with charging with Melissan onto Velas here. To do the range 3 attack, and also possibly inspire her then. I get a crit and a hit, and I had that extra dice from the etheric channeling, so she is down to 1 wound, I believe. Consorted Consolidation pushes Celestus onto the objective. And Matthias plays Stubborn to the Bone on Duval, which gives him a reroll in defense. And disenables him to be pushed, I believe. And I play Protected by the Unseen on Celestus. So if he's holding 4, 5, or 6, he is +1 defense. And he's currently holding 5. And then in Matthias's first activation, he charges forth with Enyas and those Rippling Claws. He gets a crit. And Melissan rolls just a single shield, so that's 3 damage. So she is indeed vulnerable there. Reconqueror is played on Celestus, so he can reaction push himself onto an objective after a move action. And the charge is a move, so after the move part of the charge, I push onto the objective there after my 3 hex move, and then I shoot onto Velas. I get a success, but she is on guard, inspired, and gets actually the dodge, sadly, there. So that would have been a success in the previous round, but now that she is inspired, it is not. Mirror Duelist is played onto Velas to make her count as having an extra supporting fighter. Then he does charge and gets that support, so that's 2 successes. I am on 3 defense though, thanks to that card that gave me an extra dice while holding number 6, which I am counted as doing. Door Command is played on Celestus to ping him there, since he's adjacent to a Savage fighter. I then charge with Aphis onto objective number 5 and shoots at Enyas, getting a success. Enyas is on a single dodge, but that's enough because that is a crit. And then in Matthias' third activation, he charges with Duval. 3 hammers, 1 success there. Melissan gets a shield. Duval does indeed get Cleave inspired. He is not yet though, so that's good for me. Then I try to Great Bow stab Velas in the face, but I fail. So the melee attack then. And then Gorath charges forth onto Melissan with single assists. He's range 2, but he can inspire if he kills me adjacent, and he does so, sadly. So he eats his hunger, which means he will inspire at the end of the round as well. So currently the score is 5-4, but it goes to 6-4 there because he did an attack with assist. I play Healing Tempest on Celestus to heal him for 1. And in the end phase I score positive foreboding for holding more objectives than the opponent. And Matthias scores Gravelords for having 2 inspired fighters. third round roll-off, I win again. I take the first activation with Celestus. I try to shoot this time, even though the melee option is more accurate, because I have my reasons. And I'd actually kill her, finally. Which then scores me point blank for killing someone. Blow someone up from point blank, basically. So I get 2 glory from that kill. I then play a Great Bow Block to reduce damage down to 1 in the next activation. For everyone except Sleek, but he's already dead, so it's no matter. And then I play Tread the Path, which allows me to do a move action, and my move characteristic for that move is equal to the number of objectives I hold when I play the card. So that means 2, but I then also have the reaction to push myself onto an objective after a move action, which is handy here. So he's basically holding objective number 6 then, because of that card. Then Gorath attacks Aphos with 1 success. I failed to defend it on the dodge there. So that's 3 damage from Inspired Gorath. But I do score a crucial objective for holding objective number 2 or 4. Then I play long ranged on Aphos to give my Great Bow an extra hex of range. And then I also play Cautious Advance on him, which means he can push 1 after making an attack action. So currently 8-8. I do some false calculations here. I don't have line of sight on Gorath there. It's not a huge deal. I actually end up helping him more than myself, actually. Even though I do injure Gorath here. But because I then enable that Enforcer's Cloak to be used. So I push onto the objective as a reaction, and then he plays the reaction he is allowed to do in the same window to place himself next to me and discard the Enforcer's Cloak, basically. Which you can see here. It's so nice for him to get use of that reaction there. It's a fun card. Then he tries to hit me with Gorath, basically. So 2 hammers, 3 damage with knockback. But sadly for him, he rolls no successes there. So still alive with Aphos. And I then score Held in a Bloody Fist for standing on objective token, an opponent's activation while having wound counters, I believe. And then I move on to the objective with Celestus. And then I defend another attack from Gorath with Aphos there. Then in my 4th activation, I just draw a card. He plays Mighty Strike to get +1 damage to the first attack action made by a friendly fighter in the next activation. And then he plays Internal Surrender to get an extra dice onto Duval. So he's basically down to 2 dice for being bloodthirsty, but he's now then up to 3 hammers, 4 damage basically. Because Mighty Strike gives him an extra damage and the Bloodthirst gives him an extra damage. But Celestus is on 5 wounds, so yeah. I'm not sure what he is hoping to get out of this. But yeah. He gets 2 successes there. Celestus is only on 2 dice now. But I get a crit, so I'm fine. And then in the end phase, I score a sign from the gods from holding objective number 3. So that's just 1 glory. So currently 10-8 for Celestus. But Matthias scores focal point for having a friendly leader within 2 hexes of 2 or more fighters from 2 or more warbands. But that's all he scores, so I do actually then win by holding more objectives than my opponent. Otherwise, it's a tie. But yeah, the tiebreaker goes to the one holding more objectives. So a very close game there, could have gone either way. Hope you enjoyed it. This is Mats again, chiming in to thank you for watching the video. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and comment, and to not miss out on future content, ring the bell as well. And if you really liked this video, feel free to click the thanks button just below this video. And if you want to support me even further, you can now become a channel member and claim the title of Critical Focus Fan. Until next time, take care, bye.